Choujin X. We back. First and foremost, I gotta touch on the new volume cover before I even get to the chapter, right? Now, hands down, this one has to be my favorite. I thought the Sora one was hard, but this one right here, like, this one makes you get on your knees and pray. Like, I wish I could have done this one myself. Like, this one honestly makes me a tad bit envious. And it sounds like I'm glazing, but even throughout the chapter, I feel like this is probably one of his best works in terms of the artistic standpoint. And if you've been on Reddit by now, you already know her bottom lip reads Palma backwards and the top one Zombie Maker. Zooming into the eye, we get Hyena, and then once again, we get her design. And look, man, a lot of people have been saying Y, as in her design in the eye is the letter Y, but what about a propeller? Members of the Choujin X community have been tying her to the Dark Calamity, especially because she has now tied herself with the no mask. It also seems to be foreshadowed that she will somehow have some sort of relationship with AZUMA. Now, personally, I do not believe that Palma is the Dark Calamity, but there may be some sort of decision made around Palma that may influence the Dark Calamity or at least bring forth this Dark Calamity. But while we are still on the topic of artistic detail, there are 3 panels I want to show the most. And this first one is technically 2, but this is when Tokyo breaks his elbow because he uses so much force when tossing Palma. Now, obviously being a Choujin, he could self-heal, but look at the detail in his regeneration process. You can see the little feathers starting to poke out of the elbow. The next one is when Palma has a flashback during her raise, and we see that the man who rescued Palma from her demolished land is now dead. And if you flip this image upside down, that pool of blood shapes into a skull, symbolizing death. Also, I didn't really realize how important this gas mask character was to Palma, but seeing him once again helped me connect the dots of what those things were poking out of her face. It's a gas mask. As for the final panel, I just thought that this was a cool way to show you that Tokyo was beginning to lose consciousness. Now, for the grand scheme of the chapter, what I believe was highlighted the most is that the fight Tokyo will face will be just as much a mental battle as it is a physical one. Of course, in this chapter versus Palma, but also going forward throughout the series. And to introduce this subject, I want to begin with these panels right here with a frustrated Mifune when he sees that Tokyo has been holding back. Remember, Tokyo is not attempting to kill Palma, he wants to return her to her base form. And in that process, what we are truly beginning to understand is the affliction of being a Choujin. The further Palma sinks into a chaotic state, the further Tokyo must dive to rescue her. And the unifying result each Choujin faces, regardless of their ideals, is chaos. Now, although equipped with the ability to raise, Tokyo still faces the dangers of 2 versions of death. A physical one in which Palma kills him, or an intellectual death in which Tokyo is consumed by his emotions to the point of no return. What Tokyo will have to learn is sometimes you just won't be able to bring somebody back. In terms of an affliction or disease, being a Choujin is a chronic condition in which there is no cure. And once deep into a chaotic state, some will have to have the plug pulled on them. Which brings us to Sato's criticism of Tokyo being that his one glaring weakness are his good intentions. We see that Tokyo is making a concentrated effort to only damage Palma. However, this decision only puts Tokyo in a worse situation to the point where he is no longer able to go all out. The only option left for Tokyo is to play defense, but by this point he is fatigued and being ragdolled. Tokyo's decision to try and save Palma would have killed him as he is passing out by the end of this chapter. However, AZUMA comes in and saves him. But even in getting clapped up, getting his ass whooped, Tokyo still somehow manages to get a W because he has learned a lesson, and that is not to hesitate. He followed through with his choice to try and save Palma, and knowing that any road could lead to hell, his retort was, "You'll never know unless you keep moving." And this is something that each of our Choujin will have to face. What is seemingly unique to Tokyo is his relationship with chaos. Not only does it seem that Tokyo has the standard Choujin signal, but he may also have this chaotic signal. Once again, Tokyo is starting to sense the true version of Palma, but this is after he's already raised and his own emotions are starting to take advantage of him. It's almost as if chaos is not just a state, but possibly a realm of existence, at least one that Tokyo has access access to. And as far as Palma goes, her only option may be death. Similar to her zombies, what seemed to trigger her own rays was her blood. At a base state, she already joked about her blood being the soup of life, but now that she has been injected with this new version of Zember, it is likely that she has mutated and her blood now only causes raises and chaos. And we must also remember that once Palma found the successful formula between her blood and Zember, her zombies were no longer able to be sedated. Now, as far as next chapter goes, man, maybe she sees AZUMA and snaps out of it. But other than that, Tokyo's gonna have to bring out that heart. Hopefully we find out soon, but who knows, man, because this one right here, this chapter alone looks visually as if it would have taken months to do. Like, Sui Ishida, he must have been in the dungeon. I feel like he was working like 24-hour days. So there might be a little time gap before the next chapter. But until then, peace.